Okay, today we're going to be talking about compound and complex sentences. A complex sentence has one independent and one dependent clause. So remember in our very first video, Run-On Sentences, we talked about what is an independent and a dependent clause. Just as a refresher, a dependent clause depends on the independent clause to make it a full sentence. So a dependent clause cannot stand on its own. An independent clause can. So for example, when I went to the zoo, I saw an elephant. When I went to the zoo is a dependent clause. I saw an elephant is an independent clause, so it's a complex sentence. A compound sentence has two independent clauses. I went to the zoo and I saw an elephant. I went to the zoo can stand by itself, and I saw an elephant can stand by itself. So it is a compound sentence. A compound complex sentence has one dependent clause and two or more independent clauses. So for example, when I went to the zoo is the dependent clause. I saw an elephant is one independent clause. I watched the dolphin show is another independent clause. Okay, so next you're going to go to your assignment. On the first part of your assignment, you're going to find the dependent clause. So you're just going to go through and highlight the dependent clause. This first section, they're compound complex sentences. So remember, they have two independent clauses and one dependent clause. So you're going to find and highlight the dependent clause. Then don't forget to do number 11. It says write 3 compound complex sentences, underline and label your independent clauses, then circle your subordinating conjunctions, and underline and label your dependent clauses. In the next section, you're going to determine whether the sentence is a simple sentence or a compound sentence. So you can just write simple or compound. And then don't forget about 22, 23, 24. You're going to write 4 simple sentences. Each simple sentence should contain a different thing. So your first one should have a single subject with a single verb. Next one should have a compound subject with a single verb. Next sentence should have a single subject with a compound verb. And your last sentence should have a compound subject and a compound verb. For number 23, you're going to write 4 compound sentences. Each one should contain one of these elements. And then 24, you're going to write 3 complex sentences about what you would rather been doing last night instead of your homework. Make sure you underline your independent clauses and label them. Then on the next few sentences, on the next section, you're going to identify the independent clauses. So highlight the independent clause in these sentences.